So welcome to the Twitch cast. We're back. Zach's back. I'm back, and so we got to hit
for
it
a little
hard.
bit. We're back for just a little bit from PAX East last week. It was a flurry of a trip out east to do a bunch of stuff and see a bunch of things. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So, how's your face from the WWE accident?
Pretty good.
I mean the WWE match that you were in.
It's fine. I wish it was a match. I wish it was.
can't-
I wish it was cooler, like I got in a fight, but I just fell on the concrete onto my face.
Caught yourself with your face.
Yeah.
That never turns out well. So for those of you that are missing the inside joke, J-Mac went to WrestleMania this past weekend and tried to look over his shoulder at the match while he was walking up the stairs and missed a step and fell on his face.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of blood was involved, and I asked if the gurney was brought out or anything, and he said he tried to jump up and look around like, hey, no, I meant to do that.
Yeah, I'm sure it's too bad technology isn't like to a certain point where it could do really good facial recognition and body recognition on a video, because I'm sure somebody's got it on tape somewhere, because they got to get their snaps in.
Right, if we were watching Person of Interest, do you remember that show that was like the machine that was connected to all the cameras and technology? It would be able to instantly find somebody based on facial recognition.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there's a camera somewhere, but
yeah,
anyway.
Not much other than my ego busted, so I'm good.
Right, your pride. And no one knew you there. It wasn't like, it was, you were in IUPUI last night and fell over in front of us in the college expo or the college talk we had. So
yeah, definitely.
Let's jump in real quick. It'll be a short show today. Just and we hopefully will have a couple live cuts on Twitch next week to announce. So, those of you that are customers of ours that are in the private Facebook groups, just touch on that real quickly. Like, one of the things we've thought about is, obviously in the news right now is Zuckerberg and all this Facebook stuff and privacy. And we've never been a fan of discussions ongoing on Facebook, even though that's how we do it now. We have 500, 600 centers that are, and they're managers that are a part of this private group that we all share things with. The old days is that we used to use forums on our websites, and you just would come and make an account, and then it was archived. It was easy to go back and read things. We could post pin stuff at the top of each category, so we could have a tech category where we talk about tech things, and we have a sales category where we talk about sales things. So we've kind of thought about doing that, and maybe the right time now, with everybody being concerned with social media policies and privacy and all these other things. But I just miss those days, because I see these guys and gals coming into our group, and they'll ask questions that have been asked 100 times. And the regulars that are in there get tired of it. They get tired of answering the same questions. And, but unfortunately in Facebook, it's not very easy to say, hey, there was a discussion on this a while back. Sometimes you jump in and you try to help, link them to an old discussion. But
right.
I don't know if there's a good answer. I don't know if our knowledge base is the place we can go have discussions. Probably not. I feel like it is a forum, or it could be like maybe a Reddit channel. We could maybe do it that way, because everybody uses Reddit, so we could set up.
I think of it almost like, you make a good point. Like, I don't even know what the website is, but where I buy a lot of WordPress themes and stuff.
Yep.
And they'll have an official support that is created by the author, and then they have a community support. So you can decide, which one to post in, depending on if you can't find your answer. But a lot of times there'll be people spending their time answering questions, which is what a lot of our center owners do now, to have kind of official posts versus community posts.
Yeah, I just loved on the forums. My favorite part of it is you could come back, no matter how long it's been since you were there last, and just hit new posts. And it just shows you the activity since the last time you came with the title of the thread. And you could just, if that was interesting to you, you could click on or whatever. But as soon as you did that, then you were caught up, then you wait 2 or 3 days, you come back and you only see posts for those 2 or 3 days. I really like that part, instead of like notifications that are instantly popping up and you have to click on it and go to the thread and read what that person said before, you waste too much time, getting notified all the time. But anyway, that's not what today's about. Today's about, And this one will be a good one that hopefully maybe we can cut out. And, at some point we need to splice these together because this question comes up a lot, and I'm knee deep in the middle of discussions with some really high-end clients on the internet in a video game center, in an esports arena, for an esports contest. There's a lot of debate over what the right thing is when it comes to buying your internet. And it might seem simple, and I don't want to make it seem like, these very, very intelligent IT professionals in other industries don't know what they're doing, because they're very wise and smart in their particular industries. But it's just not the same when you start talking about gaming. And so let me give you this example, and I won't use the client's name or whatever, but we're working with a really big client, and it's somebody that has worked with a lot of big a lot of big organizations in the past. So they're referencing times when they've worked with MLG and times when they've worked with ESL for pop-up events. And, their statement to me is that, every device that's in your network, you should plan on that needing 15 megs up and 15 megs down of bandwidth. And you multiply that by the number of machines in your network. So think through this with me if we do some easy math. So if you have 100 PCs in a network, or Xboxes or PlayStations, doesn't matter, 100 devices total, you need to plan on 15 megs each. So that would mean you need to go out and get a 1.5 gig internet connection for 100 stations. Now, that's totally not the right math. This is not what something would consume at one given time. And that's ultimately the maximum it would consume if it's doing a ton of different things. So if I'm at home and I have my one PC and I'm playing games on it, and I want to flip on a streaming program and upload that stream to Twitch while I'm playing a game at the same time, and I've got all these other things going on, maybe my Xbox is updating or whatever it is, that scenario is unique to the at-home experience for one person on one PC. If you go out and you set up a LAN Center, an esports arena, whatever, let's say you're going to stream that event, 50 PCs in an event, and you're going to stream that event. You're not going to have 50 of those players each start their own stream to Twitch. You're going to have a device or a room or a broadcast area that is the host box or connects into the online servers and grabs the stream, produces it, adds in the overlays, does all that. It streams up, and it will then need 10 megs to 15 megs of upload speed for that stream to be consistent. Now, if I'm a player in this LAN center, in this arena, I don't care how serious of a contest it is, I will not need 10 or 15 megs. Most video games that are out there today, doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter about the quality, the resolution that you're running or anything else, they use way less than 1 meg for video game traffic, way less. You just don't need that much throughput to play video games. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to break it down a little bit more, because I think here's where a lot of people run into trouble. So back at your house, you've got your PC and you invite 4 friends over. Now your 4 friends are there, okay? They're plugging things in. First of all, you're plugging them in. You're probably running on a standard home router, okay, which is not built for doing all of the different traffic, not because of bandwidth, but because of processing and the CPU and that, because it's doing network address translation so that it can turn everything that's coming into your network into private IPs for every device that you're hooking up in your home. It then has to remember, okay, this device over here's IP is 192.168. Whatever, some private IP in your little home network. But this outside website or game server or whatever is looking for my main IP here on my router. That router has to then translate that based on the MAC address on that device's network card or their wireless adapter to send that traffic to them. So now that device becomes a bottleneck because it's translating all that into that private network. The other thing is that most home networks are built on shared internet between other people in the neighborhood, other people in the building. Even if you buy commercial grade internet, it's like the old days when we used to call up and buy a phone line. For all of you kids out there, we used to have things in our houses called phone lines. So you would call up your local telco, you'd order a phone line for your house, which is already there. They just come out and sometimes they'll just hit a button and then they turn it on. Your home phone line was like $20 or $30 a month. If you opened up a business and you called the phone company and you said, hey, I want a business phone line, it's the same daggone copper lines coming in there, but all of a sudden the price was like $80 a month or $100 a month for business service for your phone line. It was the same thing. I could pick up my home phone and call that business line. That business line could pick it up, call my home phone. It's the same technology underneath it. They just charge more. A lot of these commercial grades they say that it gives you better priority in their queues, but it doesn't really. The key I always tell my clients is that you want dedicated internet, but you can always tell based on price. Unless you're really awesome and you're in a Google Fiber area where you can get a really good rate on fiber, you're probably going to pay $600 to $1,200 a month for the correct type of connection in your LAN center. If you're getting a quote at $99 a month or $199 a month, it's probably not something that's going to scale up to 60, 80, 100 active PCs at a time unless you do some really creative traffic shaping, maybe buy a second line to put all your web browsing and streaming on a second line and use the other line for just gaming traffic. That might work, but that's a lot more complex setup with your router. I just am blown away and going into these situations where we're working with really big clients and things, and they start looking at these numbers and doing the math. Here's where I think the problem is that a pop-up install for MLG or ESL or anybody else, they don't have time to get public IPs routed in and to negotiate that IP group. The ISPs don't want to temporarily route public IPs for a one weekend event. They're more interested in doing that on a 2 or 3 year contract. So the best bet that these places can do is they go in and they just over purchased bandwidth to make sure that their event runs smoothly. And then also during that weekend event, they have so much other stuff going on, updating things, trying to get the games patched and things. They don't want to mess with rate limiting every device and bandwidth shaping every device just for gaming traffic. So what we do, we'll set up public IPs. Every device in our networks get a public IP. It's not that hard to get. You can explain it to the ISP. This is my background starting an ISP. That was the first thing I did out of college, was start a software company, right? Followed up by an ISP. I know how these work. I know what you need to do to be able to show what you're going to use it for. And when you do that, you're setting this up for the long haul. You're not doing it for a temporary setup. So I think that's part of the problem, is that these companies are used to dealing with somebody rolls into town with 4 or 5 semi trucks. They throw it all out. It hasn't been updated in a month. They spend 2 or 3 days trying to update everything. They need as much bandwidth as they can consume. They don't want to have any risk that the stream is going to lag because they're going to put on this big production. So they just over purchase for that event. And it's not necessary. It's just a safety cushion for them because they're doing that. And I'm not saying what we do is not safe, because, I'd like to reach out to people we've worked with, like Ian up at Not Your Parents' Basement Lounge. So we went in there and he's running his whole facility, I believe, on 50 megs of bandwidth, and we just rate limit every device to 5 megs. His game server has like 50 megs open. He has a few IP addresses he can assign for streaming. So if he has a guy come in that wants to do streaming with his own machine, he gives them that IP. That IP will have 20 megs available to it. It gives him a constant stream. It doesn't affect the other gamers on the network. They all have their own stream or their own bandwidth to use. These sort of things are things that are beginning to become tiresome for me, to have to go through this back and forth with everybody that we work with. And in this scenario, we're just recommending to the venue what they should put into place. We're not doing the routing or anything else. So I have to sit back a lot of times and give my opinion, but it's ultimately their decision because they're going to be doing the routing and it's their network. We're just going in to plug our machines in and make sure our software works. So, ultimately, if the internet doesn't work, the problem falls back on whoever the network administrator is that set it all up. Mm-hmm. If it's us, I will only do it one way, I will only do it with us putting in the router, us doing the routing for public IPs, us rate limiting and traffic shaping that network properly the way we see fit and the way we've done it for years. I also think that we've learned that through necessity of doing shows like Gen Con and PopCon, where you go in and there's 10 megs of internet available for, and I'm not even making this up, $10,000 for 4 days. You know, like that's the rate in these convention centers when you set up for internet, because you're only there for a short period of time. So you figure out very quickly what's important. Is it important for that person on that one machine to be able to have 5 videos loaded on Netflix and Hulu and radio streams coming in and another window up, you know, that in the background of a game they're not even playing anymore, and then League of Legends up on their screen complaining about their ping times on their screen? They're in charge of their own world on one machine in our network. If you load a lot of stuff on your machine, you're the only one that's going to lag. You're not going to affect anybody else in the building. So that's just kind of what I wanted to share today a little bit about when it comes to going out and setting up the internet and how important it is to make sure that they do a good job up front, because lag, latency, response times are things that your center will be judged on, and that experience will be judged on. So obviously some people just err on the side of, I'll just buy a crap ton of bandwidth. And so if somebody comes in and they overwhelm my modem with requests searching for custom CSGO servers in Steam, we just have enough available that it doesn't affect everybody else. And we just hope that 100 people at once don't search for CSGO servers at the same time.
Right.
So, all right. So that's
Unfortunately, I don't have any 2 cents, because that's really
fine.
That's your world, not mine.
Right. And again, it's one of those things that becomes a crucial part, that somehow when these people make 8-month, 9-month business plans and they do all of this stuff, they just leave that until the 8th or the 9th month. You know, it's the 11th hour and we're like, okay, you know, we've known we can get internet. So now let's start thinking about what that means. How do we get internet in the space? You know, it's kind of what we talked about last time, when it's like, hey, how do we get games working? You know, like, it's like, oh, I can do it at home on one PC. It's just easy. Why, you know, it can't be that hard. I'm a gamer. I know how to do that stuff. You just have to make sure the games are updated. You just have to make sure you have enough bandwidth for one PC. It just doesn't multiply out when you put in 100 of these things in one location. All right, so let's talk about some industry news. Boston trip last week. Great job, J-Mac, going back through and splicing in the slideshow for CEX. Thought that was excellent. That's available on our YouTube channel now if any of you guys want to watch that. It's a pretty standard kind of, not speech, but presentation that I will do for colleges. We were just doing another one again last night. It was very similar last night at IUPUI in Indianapolis as they get ready to start their esports program. Yesterday, I spoke to another big university out west that's getting started. Same sort of thing, just going through all of these pieces about running an esports center that are different from their IT department setting up computer labs and things. So that was great. I got to see Kurt from RMU and touch base with him again. Neil was there from CSL. Kevin was there from Twitch. There were a lot of universities represented there that were starting up programs or have programs started up, a lot of Ivy League schools, being on the East Coast in Boston. Some students were there. Some of our startup LAN centers showed up. Aiden from Canada, Dee was there from Springfield. You know, just, it was great. It was just it was a great day. It was 100 to 150 people, you know, for the event. It wasn't a huge thing. It was at Emerson College Thursday, which is the first day of PAX East. I think it'll be really good next year. They were late this year kind of getting it announced and put out there for colleges to attend. Kevin did a great job setting it up. I think he's going to do a great job bringing it back next year for PAX East. Same place. I'm sure they'll probably do it at Emerson again. That was just a great start to the trip. I'd actually gotten there the night before, or 2 nights before, and I went and visited Peter and Brian over at Balance Patch. And I wanted to just mention that because, you know, for you and I and those of us that work with all these centers, we get to talk to them, you know, on a headset maybe, or on the phone, or we get to chat with them in Skype or Facebook, or we see pictures of their centers. And ultimately, like, this is why starting up LAN centers matters for us. Like, once you've been in a physical place, it's a totally different atmosphere and a different experience to not only meet the people in person, but see the LAN center in person and experience it while you're there in real life. I'm telling you, pictures don't explain how great of a setup Balance Patch has. Like, you know, probably right now, top 10 for sure, top 5 maybe in the U.S. as far as LAN center setups go.
Mhm.
You know, like, and there's not a lot that I don't know. There might be some out there that I don't know about, but their space was 50, I think, PCs as you walk in, 50 PCs set up to play for regular players. Around the corner from the front desk is a big lounge area with these cool curved couches, a couple big screens with multiple consoles on them that you can play party games on, which is real cool. The back of it was their cafe, which I'll talk to in a minute. And then you get to the back and you turn, and it's another huge open space where they do all their tournaments with two big glass front booths that have enough room for 6-player teams in either booth to do matches in, two big projectors up above those booths showing videos or streams or whatever's going on, and a production streaming setup to the side. I mean, I was blown away. And of course, like, Peter's like, you picked a great night to come. It was a Tuesday night. They had a big Smash group doing a tournament in the back. All these students were in there from the college. It's right by, I'll probably say the wrong college. I'm pretty sure it's Boston University that's right by, but so it's really close to the college campus. But the cafe in the back was perfect. Like it was the direct median between what we do and what I would say Ignite or Battle and Brew does. Ignite's pretty close, like Ignite's probably top 5 still. I love the guys up at Ignite. I love their center. They're building a new one. I can't wait to see what it looks like. But what Balance Patch did was they one of the things they had was they had taps. And I'm like pumped. I'm like, oh, sweet. I'm going to have a beer. I'm like, so what beer do you serve? And they're like, oh, that's not beer. That's like nitro infused coffee. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they showed me, like, they buy from this company this coffee. It comes in kegs and is served out of a tap. And they had 4 different flavors on tap in kegs in this cooler below this thing. They had a milkshake machine, and they did all these cool milkshakes. They had panini set up where they could do paninis and different, like, warmed food and bread that's toasted. And like, it was perfect. It was the exact right amount of food, and it was easy to do, easy to produce for them. They had a couple staff in the kitchen, a couple in the front running the esports. They had the Smash guys running the tournament. I was super impressed. I really liked it. I know it took Peter told me, I think like a year to get open. The landlord had all kinds of problems. They had problems with the landlord fixing the HVAC. Like his story of getting open was just brutal. But now that they're open and they're churning away, like, they're moving along. They love the software. They love the stuff that we're coming out with, which we'll talk about in a little bit with the purchasing at the client and things that we're working on that'll come out later this month. But it was a great trip there. And then I got to go to PAX for a day. I'm going to be honest with you. Like I love gaming. I play Fortnite a ton still with a lot of people. I love Fortnite right now. It's my game of choice. I'll play PC. I play Xbox a lot, but I'll play PC. I'll play on my phone. I like all gaming, but PAX was overwhelming. I mean, I just saw a report. It was over 100,000 attendees, I think, this year. I don't know how you would enjoy that other than if you, like, for me as a business guy, it was all about meeting up with a couple people. I went by the Amazon Game On booth, talked to them about integrating with them for prize fulfillment for our gold members as we ramp up our gold member program for ggCircuit. I got to see a couple developers that I know, ran into one of the Fortnite guys and started talking to him about KL, and we were talking about everything they're doing down at Epic. Met up with Kurt again that day. I saw Yoon from PopCon. You remember Yoon fell asleep at the after party because after we'd been drinking a little bit, he'd been up for 2 days, and we all took our picture with him.
Right.
And he was
Right.
passed out in the chair. Like, he comes rolling through. I'm sitting in the NBA 2K E-League practice setup in the arena. He comes walking by, and he knows Kurt, and he knows, obviously he knows me. So I pull out the picture, and we're all making fun of him. I met up with a couple other esports people that were just there, and then I was kind of done. Like, I walked around a little bit and shopped for my kids and my wife, and it was neat seeing all this stuff. But unless you want to get in line, like a lot of the cool stuff, you got to wait in a line at a booth. Like, every booth on the floor had this tape setup where you got in line and waited like 30 or 45 minutes to try out whatever game was in the booth.
Yeah, I think you probably have to have like a couple specific things in mind that you want to go to, and make sure you get those in, and then the rest are just, as you're walking by or
Yeah, so I got some
drive-bys.
PAX gear, for example. Like Kevin gave me this for speaking at the conference. He came by and gave me this shirt, but I'd already bought a couple hoodies, one for myself and Xander. Like I think I waited 35 minutes in line to buy the hoodies. Like that's everything had a line. Like it was it was just overwhelming, like it was hard to get to the convention center. Not hard, I rode the train in and walked, but then I had to walk back and the train was like, the train back was going to be 2 hours later than when I was ready to go. So I went ahead and Ubered back, and the Uber back was like $60
Yeah.
because it was, so busy and the
Surge
ride.
pricing.
Yeah. So, I'll go again. I'm sure I'll have to go. I'm going to E3 in June. It'll be the same sort of thing. You just kind of deal with it, but I don't know unless you go as, I would love to go as a gamer, like not have business to do, but just be able to go and just stand in line and be there 3 or 4 days and try to enjoy everything. But if you just want to pop in for a day or two, like for me, a day was enough. Like honestly, half a day was enough for me.
Hmm.
It was crazy. I mean, there's Magic the Gathering tournaments going. I mean, you could do anything you wanted there. So very cool, but extremely overwhelming as you're there. Like it's almost too big. And I hate to say that because I'm all about scale and size and whatever, but I think you'd have more fun. The problem is you'd have more fun at a smaller regional convention, but it wouldn't have as many big names there attending and displaying stuff. Like Blizzard wouldn't show up for an Indiana local convention like that.
Right.
So
Getting back to Balance Patch, they're one of
yeah.
my favorite people to support, just because I barely ever hear from Brian. Like it's so much that I'd almost question whether things are okay sometimes, because they've kind of taken the reins and figured stuff out and not had to ask much. So they must have a good crew there.
Yeah, it's you've said that to me before. They're one of those that they ask a question and you answer it and you point them to a couple of videos or maybe a document we've made, and then they're good.
Hmm.
Like it's and there is that difference between, and it's not about money, it's more about size. It's not the $29 and the $59 a month customers for us as much as it is if you're running a small shop, you're probably doing a bunch of other things and you've only got 15 PCs, that's not your priority. If you're full time into this and this is your thing, you got 100 PCs or 80 or UCI, and a lot of the colleges are great. We've talked about that with Lambton before, like here's what we do, point them to these 3 or 4 things, and boom, a week later they're up and running, like without a lot of hand holding on our part. So
Right.
yeah, hats off to them. It was great to meet them in person. And again, like not just making the relationships and the handshakes and the meeting somebody in real life. That is huge. I love that part of traveling, but seeing the space in real life, like maybe VR headsets will make it available for us in the future to really experience a space. But until you're physically there, you really don't know what it is or what to expect. And pictures don't do it justice. So,
Hmm.
all right, let's jump into some ggLeap updates. So ggCircuit has been like for the past 6 months, we've been closing on a funding round for us. We call it a seed round of funding. So, you do Series A, Series B, Series C. So we did a Series Seed round, which is just the opportunity for us to go out and bring in some money to ramp up development, to go 4 times faster than the rate money's coming in from all of our early access subscribers. So if you look at what we've accomplished by just self-funding this thing through all of our partners, our Pioneer Centers and early access subscribers, it's impressive. But now that we're turning up the juice as part of finishing this seed funding round, it's been exciting to turn our development team loose and bring in extra bodies and bring in more to the team to turn that up to 11. And so right now, and this week in our meeting with Ross, because Ross kind of heads up the project management team for us and coordinates all these different departments, but I believe there was 9 different pieces in process right now, and probably 5 of them are big. These are not like quick fixes of anything else. So, the product, we call it the customer ordering, but it's really the customer purchasing. The full transaction takes place on the client. We've seen that in action this week. Ross showed it to our team. It should be ready for pre-release for centers to check it here in the next couple weeks. It's very close. It's great. It replaces the menu, or it replaces the what's in the bottom right corner of our interface now when you log in?
It's just I think it's just a picture. I don't even know. It used to be a picture of like
So the top left, so
Click
on the
to
camera.
link your account or
Now,
whatever.
top left is the player profile, and then below that's the gauge, and then
Hmm.
the top right is the ad,
Right?
usually whatever ads you want to run, and then the bottom right is something. It's
It's
now the
like,
menu.
yeah, it's click to link your
Yeah.
League of Legends graphic, I think.
Yeah. So now we have games and apps and ordering, and then the ordering replaces the panel up here with this cool ordering system that allow you to choose prize vault, product ordering, food and snacks. Depending on what your center offers, you can choose what you want to have available in there. But it'll really be a game changer for us because a lot of players don't even know what's going on behind the scenes with ggCircuit. Like these are ggLeap features because it runs the management software and it's in the client and the centers care about that. But now we're going to start releasing these things that all of a sudden the players are back to like, so what does it mean to that I'm getting points in League of Legends? What does that mean? You're like, I'm getting these coins. What does that mean? Now it's going to be in their face.
Hmm.
So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for user groups, PC groups. I'm excited for full-on reporting for the point of sale system. I'm excited for enhancements to the administrator as we moving from from admin to new admin.
Original admin.
Original admin. So everybody, all the features that we have to go back and forth with are now moved over in new admin under the settings menu. So licensing and all of that stuff's now in there. April's going to be a great month, and this is not April Fools. I can say that because it's the 13th. It's not April 1st. So a lot of stuff coming with ggLeap. We'll do detailed updates later, and JMac always does a great job of blog posts and getting it out on social media for each feature as it gets released over the next few weeks. But we're really excited about stuff coming with ggLeap. Anything on that I'm forgetting before we move on to ggCircuit seasons and stuff?
Um, I think there's some client localization stuff, which I'm not really sure what that is. I don't know if that's language
Language, I think.
support, which has been a couple questions actually today. Someone from Spain and someone from the Philippines was asking about different languages. So
Yeah.
that too.
Yep. So we'll have lots and lots of stuff coming up in the next 3 weeks. Like Ross wants to do a big release on May 1st, but part of the problem is that we have some education and training to do with the centers as we get prepared to put this in front of the players. Like, obviously there's a lot of you centers that can handle it. And so we'll always have the option for pre-release for people to opt in. If you want to put this on, you want to run with it, that's fine. Like if you've been in the prize system, you got prizes in the prize vault and you're ready to run with it, go for it. Like we can enable this. Players will all of a sudden be able to buy from you 3 hours a time for 5,000 coins, click a button in the client, it adds it to their account. They don't have to come to the front counter anymore. Like that's extremely powerful. They can order, if they're in Devon's shop in Hawaii, they could order a refill in their vape and hit a button. And if they've got money on their account, it'll charge their account, send a notice to the front counter. The front counter will then deliver it out to them. Player doesn't even have to get up from their PC. The employee can then mark it as delivered and everything's good to go. So
And they can
lots
pay.
of stuff
They can
going.
pay there, or they can choose to pay later at the counter.
Right. And they can even pay in both. So we're putting an option in where you can like mix together. Like I want to pay so much in coin and so much in money off my account or with my credit card. So lots of cool stuff coming. ggCircuit updates. So Zen Masters week 1 is in. I'm really excited about where Zen Masters is going. It's exactly what we wanted it to be. To be clear, our mission statement and our purpose for starting a LAN center and building this software is to serve players in a geographic region to find out and allow them to compete on a level that they are comfortable competing in that geographic region. Our intention is never to create an MLG or an ESL or whatever. Like there's companies doing that. A lot of the publishers have their own leagues. The pro level stuff is not us. Like that's never what we want to be. However, we want to be able to give people the opportunity to number one, how do I stack up, or how do I find community and other like-minded players that like to do what I do in a certain game that live around me? Like that's the first purpose. Then the second purpose is, okay, now I'm a little more competitive. I might want to join a tournament. I might want to see maybe we're the best Dota team in this little region. How do I get placed against another Dota team that's similar to me? So I don't want to play an online Dota team that practices in a gaming house all day and plays, and travels to play in the international. I just want to practice against and play against another team of 5 that also live by each other in a little community somewhere else. That's what Zen Masters is. So Zen Masters is all about show up at your local center, play through a local qualifier to find the best in that one game. Then a week or 2 later, you come back to that center with your team still on that local network and play against a team at another store in a wide area network. So it's all teams at a store playing against each other. And that helps even that playing field out. And some people have asked me, they're like, hey, go get some sponsors, take the prize pool up to another level. We don't want the prize pool to be that big. Like I don't want to have a $50,000 Counter-Strike tournament because if we do that, that will attract the professional teams to come in, and it ruins what we're trying to build for the local CSGO players that are just trying to build their local team in their town. Like it totally ruins the whole purpose of what we do. Now, down the road, I think what's going to happen is that besides ggCircuit and Zen Masters, we're working with other partners. Like we want to start working with maybe Neil at CSL to offer different blades or different menu items inside of ggLeap that'll allow college players to jump into collegiate events with CSL right from our interface. Those types of things will be options for other people that maybe would gather a lot of players together in an online thing. But the core of ggCircuit, and the core of what Zen Masters is trying to do is just bring that local competition and community together so that I can feel that experience of playing with 4 other team members right here next to me. And I'm in an even match against 5 players from another center who are just like us, that all live together, live in the same town, do this as it's not our full-time job. We just like this. This is our hobby. It's a bowling league. It's a golf league. It's traveling AAU baseball, maybe to a certain extent, but it is our goal and our desire to have that happen. Now, season 7's coming up. It's starting in a couple weeks. We should have something to announce about season 7, and we will send out a bunch of notices, and we'll do a live show in the evening next week, hopefully, to announce some special stuff about that for North America centers. But for all other centers, this is another way, like with Zen Masters, if you want to do esports, I don't understand why you wouldn't participate in that here in North America where we offer it, because it is very inexpensive. It gives your players a chance to compete at another level. They're playing for $10,000 in prizes over 10 different games. It's all handled by us. It's all provided by us. It's scheduled out by us. Our admins run it. I don't know why more people don't do it. We have 70 some centers now in North America, just in the US. What's going on at your centers all the other times? 7 days a week, are people just showing up to play? Or do you call yourself an esports center and you want to have some of these tournaments available to them? You should get into this. The season for ggCircuit is a very casual thing that players just play like normal online, and then they get scores for those online matches, and their best 5 scores every week make up their weekly score. And then they can win prizes. So prizes are sent out. We have prize crates available. We've still got, I'd say 15 left of the ones that you can get with the medals and trophies shipped out to you, provided by Game Dios here in the U.S. for sure. North America, we've still got some left. Other countries, I think they've got to pay some extra shipping, right, J-Mac?
Right.
Is that okay?
$30 in Canada and South America now that we've reached the certain point where they don't have any left in those areas. And then it's an extra $200 for Europe, unfortunately.
Okay. But it's $700 worth of keyboards, mice, headsets, earbuds, mouse pads to give away during the season. You can give away 2 or 3 items per week. We have a prize wheel that spins, and it'll randomly select a player that has participated in that event for you for your week for the centers. A lot of centers do a good job. They'll broadcast that on Facebook. They'll video it, put it on YouTube. They'll do it on Twitch, showing who the winners are. It is a really great value, and it gives your players something to do besides just sitting there like they can do at home. Programming, to me, is the difference between a successful center and a center that is cool when it comes out because it's new and fresh, and then 6 months or a year later, they're wondering why people don't show up at their store anymore. It's all about programming, events and activities that are available to your players that they cannot do at home. This is a great example of it. Show up, play matches, earn coins, win prizes. Can't do that at home. So if you have any questions about that, reach out to us. We'll be glad to get you more information about it. The next week we'll really push for it pretty heavily as we get closer to the first week of preseason to make sure centers are on top of that. I know most of the centers that bought the prize crates a couple weeks ago have received those prize crates now. We send out orders every week to Game Dios, and they get those out for us, which they've been a great partner so far. I need to...
There was a comment today that the amount that they spent for the prize crate in America and even anywhere in the world, if you spend on it, is less than... Sorry, Rocco is barking.
Oh, he agrees.
Was less than wholesale prices, and almost double less than MSRP. So you're getting a huge deal, and able to either... We want you to shower your players with them, obviously, but not all centers do that. It's really up to them, but your customers are going to look at you like you're the bee's knees.
Right. Like, who else is going to provide a $100 prize package every week? Like, all you do is show up and play, and you have this $100 every week available to give out in prizes, and it only costs you $150 to buy that prize pack. So now, to be clear too, as we wrap up here, so our intention with the seasons is that they're going to move to quarterly. So I don't know if anybody's picked up on this, but this is season 7 will be our quarter 2 2018 tournament. So it will finish before the end of quarter 2. And then right away, we'll be starting up season 8. And we're going to try to be consistent with that, because what Mark, our CMO, is doing is lining up a lot of activities with sponsors that are going to fall right into the season category. So think about it this way, as if season 8 has a CSGO portion of the season. So CSGO is added in to season 8. It's tracking stats, and Red Bull is a sponsor of that and is providing prizes just for the CSGO portion of season 8. That's our intention, is those seasons will now turn into something much bigger in the future than just everybody playing all the games together. It'll kind of get split up into, like, there'll be a different type of ladder or challenge or sponsor for each of the different games. Some of them will be provided by the publishers themselves. So we're talking to the major publishers, 3 of them right now, big ones, that are thinking about, okay, how can we give in-game items as prizes as a part of the ggCircuit season for players that reach a certain goal? Whether it be, hey, earn 10,000 points in this season. That's not that hard to do over a 10-week season, or that's 1,000 points a week. That would not be that hard to do. Then you unlock some skin that is the ggCircuit Season 8 champion skin in that game, and there's no other way you can get that skin. Mm-hmm. And we're not talking about single A, double A games. We're talking about triple A titles that we're going after to get these programs put into place. So we'll start halfway through season 7. We'll start talking about season 8, because season 8 will start just a few weeks after season 7 ends. We don't want to have very long off seasons anymore. We're trying to provide that programming for these centers. We want there to be stuff going on in your stores all the time. I know how difficult it is to run your own store, figure out a staff schedule, figure out who's showing up at all the community events, figure out who's helping all the birthday parties or the college groups or whoever you're working with, and then come up with this crazy cool marketing schedule of events, and then try to promote them all, and then try to find sponsors for them all, and try to find prizes for them all. We can do that for all these centers at the same time, and we'll have a lot more success doing it because we represent over 400 centers now. So, and our number is rapidly growing. So I can tell you, by season 9, season 10 later this year, I mean, these things are going to become a core part of why people join ggLeap and ggCircuit. So, all right. I know we needed to be short today. We usually try to do an hour, but, I just wanted to get one in this week, obviously, to show off my PAX East shirt, talk about last week a little bit. We'll be heading to Vegas next week for a client. I may touch base with a couple people out there. You'll probably see a couple stores out there that are pretty high profile names coming online with ggLeap in the next couple weeks. We'll be going down to Florida doing some work with Alienware and Best Buy on a new rollout for them. We'll be up in Canada working with some new partners. Hopefully one of our new partners we're working with in Canada is going to be a pretty fun one to talk about. I have to see. I don't even know if I've gotten any text messages.
Don't give it away yet.
I'm not going to give it away, but
leave them on the edge of their seat.
All right, sounds good. Say hi to Rocco for me.
Oh, yeah, he's saying hi. All right, man. Talk to you next time. Thanks for the time, and keep on trucking.
Keep on keeping on, brother. All right, see you, J-Mac.